Hello and welcome to Middlesex Moments, the news and information program produced by Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, Academic Dean and Lead Campus Administrator at the college, and your host. As always, Middlesex Moments comes to you from the radio and television studios in the Center for New Media, located on the main campus of Middlesex Community College in Middletown. The purpose of our show is to give you a small glimpse into the programs, services, and events offered by Middlesex Community College, and you'll meet faculty, staff, and students and learn about the many ways in which the college partners with our community. And joining me today are two professors from the Center for New Media, John Shafer and Rick Eriksen. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Steve.
Well, today we're going to talk a little more about the Center for New Media and an event that we're having on campus called the Arts and Media Festival. So why don't we start with that? John, tell us more about the Arts and Media Festival and how it got started and what it entails.
Sure. Well, I think we're on the 14th year
yeah.
of the Arts and Media Festival.
Well, I have to cut in. Actually, there were a few before then, so really it's not even 14. I think we're actually around 20, but we weren't officially doing the Arts and Media
Well, it was
Festival.
an award ceremony.
An award
Yeah.
ceremony.
Earlier, right,
So,
but
but we're 14th Arts and Media.
as the current version of the Arts and Media Festival,
Yeah.
we're about 14 years. So what the festival is it's the showcase of the best student work in all of the arts and media courses that we offer here at the college. So that includes everything from fine arts, painting, watercolor, sculpture, photography, as well as multimedia arts, graphic arts, digital arts, and film and video productions from the digital media production area, audio productions, and the most recent area we are venturing into is virtual reality, 360 videos, which we're starting to have some projects in. We can talk maybe a little more about that later.
Yeah. And we hold this in Chapman Hall at our main campus, and from past experience, we turn the main floor, which is our library, we turn that into sort of a big art gallery. Don't we, Rick?
Yeah, that's actually, basically the library in that area, it's kind of your first, we call it maybe the first floor, but that floor pretty much is the traditional fine arts. You see a little bit of mixed screen media there as well. There's a gallery there. Though it is different, and I definitely don't want to jump to it, but even in the first floor, in the library, we're actually going to utilize some of the new additions of our learning commons, the green rooms. Those are actually going to be our little VR theater, and that's where we're actually going to let folks come in and actually don the headgear and do that. That's on the first floor, and then downstairs, where the production studios are, where we are, there are a couple rooms. There's a screening room that is playing some film, video, that sort of stuff. There's an interactive room where we have some interactive applications, things playing on computers. We're still up in the air if we're doing the audio room, where that's still kind of in the mix. There's usually a room there. So we do utilize this whole downstairs, or what we call lower level. And then upstairs, above the first floor, the second floor, in the multi-purpose room, that's the major screening area, which I think the highlight beyond the actual screenings is maybe the popcorn served by me. But other than that,
And
that's really where the screening happens. So we
Yes.
do utilize the full Chapman Hall.
It is really a very
experience,
festive environment as well. We have food there. There's typically music performances. Sometimes we've done live performances, poetry readings, and things like that. So, and there's hundreds of people. So it's generally a fun event.
Okay, so this is the Arts and Media Festival at Middlesex, which happens on Friday, May 18th at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit more about the Arts and Media Festival and other things happening in the field of communication after this short break. You're listening to Middlesex Moments. Please stay tuned for more. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from the Center for New Media at Middlesex Community College. And this is Steve Minkler, together with my guests, John Shafer and Rick Eriksen, both professors in our Center for New Media. We're talking about the college's Arts and Media Festival, which is Friday, May 18th, beginning at 6 o'clock. And before the break, we were starting to talk about the film festival portion of this program. And John, I know these are clips from all sorts of classes that we offer at the college in a wide variety of genres. And tell us a little what we might be able to expect this year from the film festival.
Sure. Well, I mean, typically every year we do have narrative, story, film type productions. We have documentaries. We have short animations, promotional type pieces, messages. So there's quite a variety. Some experimental type pieces, and I think this year we've got a pretty typical variety, and I think that's the fun part of it. Is that there is this wide variety of different types of productions, but also the voices, the messages, the stories that are being told are quite entertaining, and certainly an alternative to what you're going to find on normal television. So, and I think it's part of what's very impressive about the work is that when you see the student work, most people who have never seen it before are walk away being very impressed with the quality of the projects and the films that we're conveying. And I think that this year is actually going to be pretty. So far, we never know for sure until we have all the final submissions. But
we don't want to tell you, look behind the curtain and go, well, we'll tell you a day before how strong it'll be. But
Well, I think what people walked away being impressed with is the technical quality. I mean, and that's partly due to equipment becoming better over the years, but also how you teach students to be proficient camera operators and editors and sound technicians. But the also, like you were saying, John, the quality of the stories. And in the classes that you teach, a lot of it is how students can find their voice and express themselves through media.
Without a doubt. I mean, I would, if the technology, I mean, on the one hand, everybody's like, oh, we want the latest, greatest, toys, tech toys and that. Who doesn't, right? But I mean, when it comes down to it, it's like, what is the content? What is the story? More importantly than that, what is the student or student's aesthetic? Or what is, if you say artist, and isn't that what we want to all be potentially if we're getting our message out? But what is that content? And if that's got to come first. And that's not something you can really kind of teach like with a recipe kind of method. Oh, push this button. This is this switch on this camera. That's the easy stuff. The aesthetic, the story, the content, the how you put it together, what it looks like. That's I think probably the strong component of sort of the Middlesex Center for New Media and the classes that fall under the umbrella. Is that what we're really trying to shoot for? Is guess what? In 2 years, the toys are going to be different.
Right.
So hopefully it's the idea and the strength of those muscles, the creative muscles, that the students are picking up. And I think you really do see that in a lot of the pieces and a lot of the things at the Arts and Media Festival.
And for the festival, we really are showing the best work from the entire year. So we go through a process where the faculty for each class select the best projects from their particular classes, and we take those projects together, and then we kind of screen them ourselves, and then we're picking out the best works from among those best nominations. So we really do have a good selection, I would say, from them, and that's why the quality is good, because there's a lot of students who don't get selected to be in the festival. So it's not like we're just showing everybody's work.
Right.
So
And it's meant to be representative in that it's not like there are awards or anything of that nature at this festival, right?
No, I mean, it's funny, going back 15 plus years, it really started from an event that was the Broadcast Communication Awards Show, and it was super shticky back then. But we would hand out little microphone trophies to be the best, I don't know, the best television production And so when we'd fused together with the actual art department and said, hey, how can we make this a little bit more inclusive for all of the artists and media producing students, then we sort of said, hey, let's back off of awards and making it an awards show. And
well, the problem was we spent half of the show talking and giving out awards, and
that's true.
And we only were able to show a few student works. So that now we said, hey, let's put a little more emphasis on the student work, and take away the awards. It's actually for the students, it's an award. It's meaningful to be in the festival because they know that not everyone gets in.
Oh, without a doubt. There is a little award. kind of concept in the fact, that we do actually have 2 screenings. So we have the larger screening that happens up in the multipurpose room. That's a much larger screen, dark room. You've got a captured, the captured audience. And then we do have a screening downstairs, which is
Second tier, right.
Second tier. We try not to say second tier, but it does obviously provide the opportunity for a lot more students.
Call it private
work to
screening.
Yeah.
Right. They can say they're in the festival, though.
Yeah.
Actually, frankly, there's a lot of really good works in that second
Oh,
tier
I know.
screening,
That's not to sell that
right.
short at all. It's just, it's tricky. I mean, because on the one hand, think of that. We have it's not just usually the large screenings about 2. We try to keep it under 2 hours. I mean, that's a good chunk of time. Well, guess what? Downstairs, there's actually probably another hour to 2 hours worth of high quality projects that are being screened downstairs. So it's really, where do you divide up your time? And then there is we didn't even talk about, you get there early enough, hey, there's food, and food, folks, and fun part of it, but there's food. And I think the fine arts, being able to see the sort of the diversity of the fine arts material, and the high quality, I think, stuff that's there. I think the oil painting and the Pegasus Gallery is impressive. And a lot of people, I try to get them downstairs because they forget about, hey, wait a sec, we've got interactive stuff. There's another room full of, systems where you don headphones and, listen to different audio projects. There's a lot of media to consume in the 4 hours that the festival goes on.
Well, and earlier you were talking about VR or virtual reality, and to someone who's maybe listening who has no idea what that's about, maybe what does that represent? It's a new form of media. You said something about putting on glasses and goggles and headsets to experience this.
It is the latest trend in media, particularly new media. And yes, the idea is you're putting on goggles with headphones that essentially immerse you totally into a world, and then when you move your head around, it responds immediately. So you immediately have the sensation that you are in another world. So that's why they another reality, I guess. So that's why they call it virtual reality. And the technology existed for years, but it's really only in this past year that they've been able to make it accessible for ordinary people. So there's like the PlayStation, Sony PlayStation has a VR system. That we have the Oculus Rift,
The
HTC Vive, and actually there's even several other systems that have recently come out. So we've begun experimenting around with this and doing projects, and we have new cameras that shoot 360 degrees.
We've got a couple system setups to be able to produce a range of media, whether it be not just even the 360 video, but this even these last 2 semesters we've been exploring just painting. In fact, instead of doing your typical digital arts in a 2D environment, width, height kind of thing, a Photoshop thing staring at the screen, is what is it like to actually be immersed into an environment where you can walk through the painting, where you can walk behind the paint strokes, or to be even able to sculpt in 3D. Typically, you're looking at a 2D screen, and you have to break your 3D view into an orthogonal view or something like that. It's pretty interesting to don a headset, be in an environment, a room where you're actually grabbing models, pushing and pulling and walking around it, and actually physically sculpting something that's not real, but you're in that environment. So that's a whole other angle that we also are exploring with this technology.
Well, and that's fascinating. Do you see that being something in the future that might always be, if you will, a museum piece, or is this something that people are going to have in their homes someday?
That one, it is tricky. I feel like we're still in an area where the actual display technology is still a hindrance to the experience. So as display technology, I think, changes, I think then you would potentially see it a little bit more like, well, instead of that painting on the wall being a 2-dimensional sort of thing, that, projection, the concept of holographic sort of things, or even immersive rooms, certainly like the Microsoft I want to say holodeck, but not. But
it is definitely becoming popular.
Oh,
so
definitely.
there's
a
million. I know they've passed over 1 million headsets being sold this past year, and more and more. There's more and more apps,
Oh, yeah.
gaming that are coming out in VR modes, and I think it's going to be really within 2 or 3 years. It's going to be pretty much a regular part of the entertainment medium, particularly in terms of gaming. That's where I think it's most popular. Although a lot of businesses are beginning to explore and use it. In the medical field, they're using it in training and education. Even real estate agents are starting to use virtual tours of houses and things like that in order to allow people to experience what it's like to be inside a house.
Sure. And we intend to do that here at the college, don't we?
We
right?
are working
Yes,
on
all
it,
right.
actually. We are working on it.
Okay.
And real quickly, I should also mention that we have partnered with several high schools on a VR project, and we are hoping to showcase work by high school students at the Arts and Media Festival.
Terrific.
As a matter of fact, we need to get in touch with them.
Okay, well, look forward to that. That's going to be amazing. Okay, time for a quick break and more on the Middlesex Community College Arts and Media Festival and all things new media with John Shafer and Rick Eriksen. This is Steve Minkler. Stay tuned for more from Middlesex Moments. Be back soon. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from the Center for New Media at Middlesex Community College. This is Steve Minkler with my guests John Shafer and Rick Eriksen, professors in the Center for New Media. And before the break, we were talking about the new technologies that we've been playing with here at the center in virtual reality and kind of this immersive experience that a user would have. And I think that represents how our consumption of media has changed drastically in the last generation. And how does that kind of work itself into some of the programs we offer at the college and in the way you shape the curriculum? John?
Well, I'll tell you, Steve, that it's because of all the dramatic, rapid changes that are occurring in media that it is really hard to keep up with. So I'll say that right off the bat. And we've had a challenge trying to develop technology, software, programs, and within 2 or 3 years they're changing rapidly. So part of what we have to do is we have to learn how to learn and keep learning and teaching our students to learn as we go. And as part of that, we have converted what used to be traditional-oriented programs. We had our broadcast cinema program, for example, to a new digital media production program. And we have a set of options within that new program area. And we've incorporated a number of new courses, things in social media, for example. We have new digital audio, music, and audio production areas. We certainly have expanded in web design and interactive media. Maybe you want to say a word about that?
The program is what's the concept. I think is you kind of not skipped over it, but is the concept of this digital media changing the degree what we're doing to more of an umbrella, which is this digital media production. And I mean that ties into, I think, truly the way that we view the technology and these options, whether it be audio or film and video or multimedia interactive design or the web design, that the key thing, the focus of those options isn't necessarily the software or that it's, well, how does the workflow and the creative aesthetic work within film and video? Okay, well, that's really what the students need to kind of grasp onto, or how does that work within just visual design in general? And from that, how the workflow, they tie that with the aesthetic, then the tools start to. It's not a problem that it's a new tool next year. It's a problem for us because we're kind of, it is the learn. You need to learn because it does not end. I think that's that's an interesting thing of aspect of this, of being at Middlesex, is that to be able to have a student come in who thinks that, hey, I need to get this degree, I want to do this, and to try to get them to understand that when you finish and you graduate and you get the degree, that's just the beginning. That's just the start. It doesn't mean that you've reached the finish line, because the technology and the way you use the technology, that's just a tool. and it's the deeper stuff that
At the same time, we are greatly benefited by the fact that we have a brand new center
huge.
with facility. That was part of a $2.5 million federal grant that allowed us to upgrade to all the latest cutting edge technology, which we are at currently kind of the envy of the Connecticut higher education system as far as media technology is concerned. So it helps to have the latest and the greatest, and which is what we're trying to teach our students. They're like children.
Well, you just
Teach our
it's
students.
Radio. They can now they know your age. Are you kidding? That was great.
Right.
Oh man, but the equipment though, from that standpoint, it is true. It's kind of I always joke that it's it's like we got a cool playground here. It's not like we're sitting here, with that.
Well, you talked about, a student comes through this college and then they're ready for the next move. Well, we've given them an elevated place to start from by leaving here.
Definitely.
So my understanding, the way that the curriculum was redesigned was getting to something you just said earlier about having those foundational skills being a set of courses that is the core of digital media production, regardless of the tool you're using or which part of the industry you want to work in. But that there are these specialty clusters or certificates that are attached to that program. And how do those work?
Well,
they actually allow students the option to pursue either an associate's degree or a certificate, which is typically a one-year degree. And then they can specialize within one of 6 different areas. That includes film and video, audio and music, multimedia design, web design, news and sports, and corporate media. Yeah. I got them.
You got to have the list here to kind
that's
of go
right.
through.
Yeah, and we're working on digital marketing as another specialty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and we also have graphic design as a related program.
Yeah, and flipping back to the core, in all of those tracks, the core isn't just general education as far as the associates. We've kind of come up with a core skill set that students would need in terms of it's not so niche oriented. You don't go into an employment scenario and you are the audio person. It really isn't that anymore. It's now, please come on board, and we need you to do the audio, but you have to also be able to produce.
To work in media these days, you really have to be multifaceted.
Yeah, the utility belt has to be large.
Right.
And so it's not no longer just enough to specialize in one particular area. You really need to have multiple knowledge and different forms of media, and more people are being asked to run a video camera, write copy, record video, upload things to social media, to the internet. So all of these skills are becoming necessary. So we're trying to teach students as much as possible a diversity of skills. But some specialization is still valuable. And the other thing we emphasize that I think is important to mention is the hands-on aspects of it, because we really believe that students learn best by doing as opposed to just reading or studying about something. So we definitely emphasize hands-on projects.
Yeah. Definitely a strength.
Yeah, and something you were kind of getting at a little bit, do you cover in your classes this whole idea of the fact that there are so many distribution outlets available to someone who produces some media? Like you were saying, John, someone may be asked to video, a newspaper reporter is going to actually video record.
Right.
But how do you get into that at all, about how to be selective in the different distribution media there are, depending on the project that you're undertaking?
How to be selective? It's almost, I don't know if we are focused in on the selective portion of it, or other. Almost, it's more of a flip.
Or maybe what the strengths of each of them are, and how do you?
The strengths of the particular distribution model. I see.
Yeah, if you got,
I would say that I'm actually now thinking of like our Intro to Digital Arts, that class where we're experimenting with a lot of different media, from just simple design to audio and sound design to image sequencing. I say animation, really, motion graphics. But what are we going to do with that? Is that going to be static? Is it going to be desktop? Is it going to be tablet driven? Is it going to be on the phone? Are you going to use the web as a distribution? Even devices, USB devices, things of that nature. How is this going to be used? And your designs have to be reflective of that dynamic. So it's a little bit that's weaved into the curriculum, but it's not. We're not taking it out and saying, "Hey, let's look at this." It's just the norm. It's, you're designing, you're putting 4 hours into a production. Well, is this going to be able to play on the various different devices? And does it need interactivity? Does it need to be runtime only in a loop kiosk scenario? Are people going to be sitting watching it, or is it a walk up every 30 seconds, maybe someone? So you really have to design media differently based on that. And that's really weaved into I think a lot of the classes as we're producing the media, for sure.
This definitely relates to the idea of convergence and adaptability that you have to have, because media is so diverse right now, and everybody's walking around with a mobile phone. We also have our computers and tablets, and so each one has a slightly different design aesthetic and approach, but they are all essentially interactive and doing the same thing.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
And of course, we have our radios too, right?
And we still have radio and television.
Well, yes
yeah.
and no,
Yes.
I guess.
Well, okay, multi-purpose.
It's in a different
Yeah,
thing.
okay. So, of course, just to, the time we have left, just to kind of wrap this up, one of those media distribution outlets is an Arts and Media Festival,
Yes,
a
definitely.
live presentation
Live
of visual art, fine art, sound, audio recording, and films, all here at Middlesex Community College on when, Rick?
That would be, I want to say, May 18th.
Friday, May 18th.
Friday, May 18th.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Typically, we start at 6 and go for about three and a
half
half hours.
Yeah, it's a.
But people are welcome to come and go. It's not
It's
like
totally
you,
walk in, walk out. You don't have to you can do whatever you'd like.
Well, the first half is typically the display of visual arts
Yeah.
and also sampling of individual multimedia and digital projects downstairs. And then the second half, usually starting around 7:30, is when we have our film festival screening, and that's where we screen the time-based narrative projects and things like that.
And it's all free of charge. Including,
Totally.
Free.
Including the
Free,
popcorn.
including the popcorn,
All right.
definitely.
Popcorn and other types of
Other-
refreshments,
yeah,
too.
Exactly.
We actually have pretty good refreshments.
We do, yeah. Well, I want to thank Rick Eriksen and John Shafer, professors in our Center for New Media here at Middlesex Community College, for joining me today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
And thank you for listening to another edition of Middlesex Moments. And as always, please visit us here for the Arts and Media Festival Friday, May 18th, or anytime at our main campus at 100 Training Hill Road in Middletown, or at our Meriden Center, now located at Platt High School, 220 Co Avenue, where we offer afternoon and evening classes 4 days a week. And of course, you can always visit us online 24/7 at mxcc.edu. So on behalf of Rick, John, and everybody here at Middlesex Community College, this is Steve Minkler, and we hope to see you again soon.